Hey, good afternoon. Welcome again to another episode of Purebred TV, where gamefowl breeders and cockers across the globe gathered as one. Today's episode, we will be going to talk to one of our good friends in Texas, USA. Hey, how are you? How's the weather in Texas, right?
The weather is good. It is 85 degrees here. Springtime, so it's not too hot yet.
I just came from my gig, and yeah, so I don't want to miss this interview because this is just, sometimes we're busy, and so I really appreciate your time.
Oh yeah, no problem at all.
First of all, can you tell us who is Emily? Emily, right?
Yes, Emily Catalina CARVENTE.
Cool. Okay, so I will ask again. Can you tell us who is Emily as a gamefowl breeder?
I feel like I am someone who has bred and raised roosters now for over 10 years. And I'm someone who over time has learned and developed a good set skill, but most of all, who has come to love and has a passion for being in this industry in itself and breeding and raising from, hatching eggs up into full-grown roosters and watching their skill and watching them grow. I feel that for me personally, it's been a long and hard journey, but something super rewarding. Being a woman in this sport is definitely has its ups and downs and is definitely extremely difficult. But through hard work and time, I've been able to develop what I have today, along with the father of my kids and business partner. And we have an amazing gallera, I feel like, that we've come to build.
Are you the first generation or second generation?
I am a first generation.
So since when did you start breeding?
Yes. I started breeding and working on gamefowl at the age, I'm 35, so I was 23 years old when I started doing it. So I grew up with a really good father, and I grew up loving the outdoors and loving being outside and loving animals. And when I had gotten married, my husband at the time, he actually had been doing it in Mexico as a kid and grew up doing it his entire life. So when I met him, I was the first time I actually started to get into roosters myself at a young age. And then over time, we moved different places, and I was able to get more and more. And then once we came out to this ranch where we're at about 6 years ago is when we started to invest more in gamefowl and breeding. And then about the past year and a half is when I really took off as far as KC gamefowl started. And I was able to engrave myself into it and go from just someone who had a couple of roosters to over 700 roosters.
Talking about numbers, that's 700 numbers. Is it
Yes.
or it's just a fair or average number compared to other farms?
I would say it's a lot. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's anywhere near like Jumper or some of the ones who they have thousands you're talking, but 700's a lot, especially when you're breeding and raising and taking care of it is two people. It becomes a lot. I have my kids who also help water and feed and join in as well, but it's definitely a lot to take care of, working full-time jobs and then having 700 roosters to take care of as well.
Wow, it's always a good thing if if the family is involved in your passion. Is it a family business or it's just?
So yeah, I mean, it's something that I do and would like to pass down to my children, myself and my kid's dad. We'd both like to pass that down to our children if that's something that they're interested in. We have two that are pretty interested and two that are willing to help, we'll say. So yes, if that is something that I can pass down to them, that is something that is our desire to leave them with something to continue to move on with and make business and enjoy it at the same time.
So how do you manage your farm and your family?
How do I manage my family?
Yes, and farm as well.
Scheduling myself. The good thing about my job is I'm a PR director for a chain of coffee shop and bars, and I have a pretty flexible schedule. I make my own schedule, so that allows me to be able to work around taking care of the farm, and whether it's feeding the animals in the mornings or coming in the afternoons, I'm able to become a little flexible when it comes to work. So it is definitely something difficult. I'm not gonna lie, like managing, taking care of that, taking care of the children, making sure everything gets done. It's a hard task, but it's manageable.
So what bloodlines are you raising right now?
So as of right now, we have sweaters, Joe Goods, Kelsos, Yellow Legs, and then we also started carrying last year and now breeding jumpers lines. So Nathan Jumper and Smokey are actually really good friends of ours, and we were able to work with them and carry a lot of their lines. So we also carry now the 20K Kelso, the Dr. Robinson hatch. We carry radios and some of their different lines as well now.
You mentioned about Nathan Jumper. So how are you connected with them? Long time friendship or
It's been a friendship for about a year. I originally was very interested in radios. Radios are my favorite rooster, which is my tattoo right there. So that's actually my favorite, my personal favorite. So I had been looking him up for a while, and I talked to my kid's dad and I said, hey, I really want to invest in a trio of radios. Like that's something that I really like. And so I was like, I'm gonna book an appointment and go down there and see if we can get some. And he was all about it too. He was like, okay, that's fine. If you want to do that, I'll join you. And we went down there and ended up meeting Smokey and Nathan and just kind of kicked it off with them from there. Got our radios, took a couple of pictures, and that was pretty much a wrap. After that, it was them inviting us to come and stay for a weekend at a time, going out, hanging out, business and pleasure at the same time. So we've developed a really, really good friendship with them.
what were your biggest challenge dealing with your farm or in your game fowls?
My biggest challenge would probably be the daily keep up, managing, being able to put attention to the roosters the way that they need. One thing that I've learned over the past year is that it's not even just about feeding and watering, but the maintenance that comes with keeping up with them, making sure they have vitamins, making sure they have the proper haircuts, making sure they're sprayed and taken care of, right atmosphere, checking them, weighing them, seeing how their bodies are, seeing how they're grabbing food, how they're not grabbing food, just the attention that you have to put into them. I'll be honest with you, like I do a great job when it comes to watering and feeding, and making sure like I play my part, and my kid's dad really comes through and plays his part as well, making sure that they're taken care of with their vitamins and keeping up with their dressings, their haircuts, and everything else that comes along with it. Just making sure you're putting the attention and time into it that's necessary.
Wow. So do you use supplements as well or enhancers perhaps?
Yes, we do. We use supplements and enhancers.
How important to have a record keeping?
To keep a record, most definitely. I mean, when it comes to them being in the keep, just making sure, actually I was talking to my kid's dad the other day about this, just making sure that they have everything that they need, the time and the attention, their shots that is necessary, and then their vitamins on a weekly basis down to the last week on a daily basis, making sure that they have the attention necessary, the upkeep and the maintenance and everything that comes along with it. It's definitely important to have a record and to keep track of that.
Is there any negative side to breeding? Is there any you can think of?
Negative side, I would have to say the only negativity about it is, those who get jealous. I feel like this sport has room for everyone, and whoever has a passion, whoever loves to do it. And nowadays everyone has great roosters. I really don't think there's anyone who's really better than anyone when it comes to the type of roosters we have all day. Now it's all great gamefowl, but you find certain people who are jealous, certain people who maybe don't have the privileges, the money or the time that I've had to be able to invest in this sport. I'll sometimes get a lot of hate comments, you can say, or just people who don't appreciate what I do for the roosters and for my family. And so yeah, definitely that's a negative part of it. Like I said, being a woman in this sport isn't something that's easy. So a lot of times you can be looked down on by men, and or they'll think, oh, she thinks because she's a pretty face or she's that by the end of the day, it's about my roosters and what they show and what they do. And honestly, like I've never had a problem showing through my animals what we're capable of doing, but definitely there's a dark side of it. It's affected my family for sure, in the sense that there is a lot of negativity and comments sometimes that make it difficult, but by the end of the day, I have to understand that these people don't support me or my family or anything that I'm doing. So I really don't care what anyone else thinks.
It's not them who matters, it's you. And it's especially for you're doing this for your family as well.
Exactly.
Are there any intruders on your farm or?
No, we actually keep about 7 dogs here. I have Anatolian Pyrenees, which pretty much keep everything out. If anything, we get like rats and mice sometimes because of the feed, but we also have like a rat dog that searches them out. We have had people break in the farm in the past, and steal roosters in the past. So we had to put up some security cameras and lights and a couple different things. But ever since then, that was about 1.5 years ago, we haven't had any other intruders since that.
There's someone steals your roosters.
Yes, we did at one point have someone break in and steal a bunch of roosters.
Wow. So how did you manage to catch them?
Yes, my kid's dad did catch them. I want to say about 5 months later, showed up at their house. One of his friends showed up at their house and recognized our roosters. And we ended up getting them back. I'm not going to say how we got them back, but we got them back.
What keeps you competitive to the rest of the breeder?
I really believe in our gamefowl and what we're doing over here. I mean, I really believe in my birds. Recently, about the past 6 months, I have been in California on and off, and in the past year, we've won 5 derbies altogether. Done really well, not only here in Texas, but also in California, with my team over there as well. So I would say, like, just having that confidence that my roosters are very capable in the right hands and the right keep, that they're really, really going to come through. That's something that keeps us competitive in general. I have great people like I said, I have my kid's dad here who really helps me with the roosters and who's great in the sport. And then I have a team in California as well who helps me over there when it comes to taking care of the animals and making sure that they're good in keep and making sure they're ready to go. And I've been fortunate to have these people be able to help me, and that's what keeps me competitive. That's what keeps me going, is just the belief in roosters that they're doing an amazing job, and that we've created a great line of different roosters and that they're continuing to produce for us. So that's always a good sign.
Wow. Have you tried competing in the Philippines?
I have not. I really want to. That is honestly on my bucket list. That is one of my dreams, to compete in the Philippines. I have been looking for someone who wants to make a business deal with me in that area. I do have some friends from the Philippines that live in California that do buy from me on a regular basis. But as far as actually competing in the Philippines, I never have, but I'd love to go.
As a breeder, how do you select your materials for breeding? Do you have any specific criteria as per bloodline, or
it's normally more so about what's bringing us the best, like what's producing the best. So we've done a lot of different experimenting this year. So next year we'll really find out what it's going to take as far as the materials and producing. I'm hoping to take this business to another level in operational. I recently started brand marking my own clothing line as well, Casey Gamefowl Ranch, hats and shirts and sweaters. So I'm hoping to take the entire operation to another level by next year. But honestly, we just really pick and choose based off of what seems to be giving us the best results by the end of the day. So we did cut off a lot of different lines this year that we felt were not bringing us the same concept and the same results as some of the others. And we doubled up on our breeding on ones that have been producing for us very well. So not necessarily different materials that I need based off of the different lines. I get a really great feed about 25 minutes from here. I'm basic when it comes to the keep and the take of my animals. I do between a 9 grain and a 12 grain. And then during keep, we actually make our own food based off of different products: tuna, hard-boiled eggs, the 9 grain feed, a little oil, just a mixture of different products we use during the keep. But I wouldn't say there's any large materials. My kid's dad, he actually has a pen business, a chicken pen business, where he imports drop pens from Mexico. And so if you'd like to see, I can take you back and actually show you what it looks like back there. But he imports drop pens from Mexico, and that's kind of his business that he's run. And I don't mind taking you back and showing you. But as far as materials and products, we're pretty much set on that, just because that's his personal business that he runs. And he gets drinkers and feeders and drop pens and medicine and basically anything that you need from Mexico, and imports it in through here and is able to sell it. So that's kind of like what we do as far as the materials.
wow, that's very good business, talking about those everything that's involved for the gamefowl. That's a really good business. Even in the Philippines, if you have that kind of stuff, oh, you're it's a big fortune.
It's definitely helped, for sure. It's definitely made the business go. Definitely helped.
Do you believe that there is a bird as pure, or to you, what is pure to you? How can you explain?
Pure. So I do believe in pure, but at the same time, I also believe, how did it become that pure? So I mean, nowadays, the way that you're breeding through generations, is it going to be as pure as it was, 25 years ago, when you're talking about a bloodline, example, like the radios, that was 25 years ago. I mean, it's possible, but as you're breeding, you're constantly refreshing your lines. You're constantly putting a new rooster from that line into the next one. And I do believe that they can be pure, but 100%, I haven't come across that yet. As far as breeding goes, it takes time and effort. And like I said, when you're refreshing a line and you're putting back into that line the same rooster, over time, every different rooster will produce something different. Every time there will be ones that are stronger, ones that are weaker, ones that come different colors, no matter how pure you say it is, which I do agree. Yes, it's more pure than others. I just feel like over time, do you really know exactly how pure that it could be? I'm not 100% sure about that. But definitely I hear, okay, I have a pure radio, and I do have a pure radio, and it did come from Johnny Jumper, but I've heard others say, oh, I have a pure radio as well. Well, that radio that they have is, 1 foot taller and different colors. And I'm like, the original radio was a really ugly rooster. So I see someone say, oh, this is a pure radio. And I'm thinking, that looks nothing like the ones I carry. And I get them right from Johnny Jumper, grandson, who started it in the first place, created the line radios, So you never really know. I mean, I don't want to say that, hey, it's not a pure radio or it's a different type, but it really just depends. It depends on the person. It depends on where they got them from, and where the line's carried over through the years.
You mentioned about your winningest bloodlines, Jugood Gray, right? Can you tell me the history of your Jugood Gray?
History of my Jugoods. So originally we got them from a guy in California who now is in the Kentucky area, and I got them about 6 years ago, and we started producing them over that time, and like I said, constantly kept that bloodline as pure as we possibly could and refreshing it every year or two. And that's the history behind my Jugoods. So yeah, he originally came out of a breeder of California. His name is Luis Demetrio. He's a really, really good guy, really good breeder, and now breeds out of Kentucky and also does a really good job and is pretty strong in the breeding world.
How many do you raise every year?
Normally between, I would say, 400 to 500. So this was a pretty big year for us, probably the biggest that we've ever had. We recently invested in a commercial incubator and a commercial hatcher. So we definitely bred more this season than we've ever bred before.
What is your culling rate per batch?
About 200 to 250.
Where do most of your fowl go each season?
So most of my fowl get sold throughout the United States and or in Mexico, and sometimes also goes to the Philippines as well. So yeah, I'm very big in this sport as far as like just the breeding and selling goes. So most of my fowl does get sold.
So you're shipping to the Philippines as well?
I ship to California, and California ships to the Philippines for me. I have a direct contact in California, and he actually is a friend of Sunny Lago. You know Sunny Lago?
Sunny Lagoon?
Yeah.
You're saying Sunny Lagoon.
Okay, so my friend, his name is Bob Fabio, and he lives in California. That's who runs my lines in California.
So going back to that PETA question, what can you say about them?
Besides, they need to go to hell. No, you know what? I really feel like this sport happened for a reason a really long time ago. I mean, you're talking about a sport that our presidents used to play. That's some of the most famous, most rich people in history would play. I mean, we are not training these animals to do anything other than what's natural to their instinct. They're naturally built and born to be this way. And I feel like, why else would you have to keep them separate at an early age if they weren't naturally going to do this on their own? So do I feel like these organizations are right in their sense of, saying that, we're being cruel to the animal? Absolutely not. Have they ever seen these animals in person and what they do in nature on a regular basis? I really don't think they have, because if they've seen that themselves, they would come to find out that these birds naturally do this. It is in them. It is in their blood. It is what they live for, what they like to do. And all we're doing is giving them the care they need and creating them an opportunity to be able to showcase themselves as the warrior animals that they are. So I definitely would say I'm a big activist in the game world. I am a part of the Texas Gamefowl Breeders Association myself. I go to the meetings, I go to the conventions, I go to the events. I learn my laws and my rights and what I'm allowed to do as a breeder. And anyone who gets in the way of that, I definitely am one to fight. I'm one to fight back, let's put it that way. So I feel like the people who are against us and against, the gamefowl breeding and gamefowl world, they really don't understand where the origin of this came from and where we've become and where we're at today. And I feel like if this was something that was ever passed in the future, they would have to know that they're going to make millions, if not billions of dollars off of this industry. Because you think about the events we put together, the things that we are able to do, the money that comes in and out of this sport. And you think about the tax dollars that they could make taxing us on this sport as well. I feel like it would only be to their advantage to let us continue to do this sport in the United States. So when I hear that, oh, it's against the law, or, oh, you're not allowed to do this, or you're not allowed to do that, honestly, it breaks my heart, because why was it allowed for so many years, so many places? Why did our presidents do this, as a pastime for fun and to enjoy themselves? I really feel like it's a healthy sport. I'm personally from Puerto Rico, and in Puerto Rico, that is something that we do as well. So you're coming from, someone's from Puerto Rico, my kid's dad's from Mexico. These are sports that are permitted and are allowed, and that are enjoyable and are fun to the country, and that are beneficial, and that everyone is making money off of. So honestly, when I hear things like, oh, your cruelty to the animals, or, you're hurt, you guys don't even know what you're talking about when it comes to this gamefowl. Now, am I all about love of animals? I am. I have dogs. I've had all kinds of animals myself personally, and I am against, cruelty of animals, but I don't feel like we're being cruel any way whatsoever to our fowl in any type of way. Like I said, it's their natural born cause. This is what they want to do, so we're just enhancing it.
Is there any events happen to your farm from those people?
Absolutely. I have absolutely been raided. Nothing happened because I take incredible care of my roosters. They have water, they have food, they have a healthy, clean space. They are healthy birds. They look incredible. I have absolutely had Texas Rangers come out and go through my entire farm and my house as well. And yeah, they left at the end of the day, and they said, you know what, everything looks good. Your animals look clean. They look taken care of. They look healthy. And that's where it was left at. But I absolutely have been, raided before, most definitely. You get the wrong people, you could lose your entire operation, Fortunately, I'm a smart girl, and I know how to talk. So I know how to work my way very well out of situations. So yeah, it's definitely scary thinking that you could lose, everything you've been working so hard for so many years, without a doubt. But thank goodness that I'm an entrepreneur, and that I'm kind and I'm respectful to laws and authority and organizations, and I take great care of my fowl. So by the end of the day, there's not much they can say or do when you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and when they follow the laws the right way as well. That's super important. If you get somebody who comes out and raids you and is doing things the right way, you shouldn't have any problems. But if you run into, an asshole who's just trying to take you for all you're worth, well, then, you might have some problems.
True, I certainly agree with that. What's your advice to those who are just starting breeding gamefowl?
My advice, never give up and continue to believe what you believe in. If you're just starting out, don't listen to everybody's opinions. Don't listen to what other people tell you, because everyone's going to have their own opinion of what they think is great, what they think is good, and what they, want to do, how you should feed, how you should do that. I mean, everyone has different ways of doing everything. Do what you love. Do what's in your heart. Do what feels right. I'm not saying don't listen to what people tell you, but by the end of the day, make up your mind that you're going to do things your way. Find your own path. Find your own way that works for you, and the roosters you love, and continue to do what you love no matter what anybody else tells you, because everyone's going to have their opinions of how you should do things. But by the end of the day, if you're not doing things your way and you're not doing what you love, ultimately, if you're not doing what you're wanting to do and what you love, then you're only going to be hurting yourself. So my advice to anybody going forward, drown out the noise and find your way, find your path, find what works for you, and produce roosters that you love, no matter what anybody else thinks. Because by the end of the day, you have to do what you love. Believe in yourself, and continue to follow your dreams. Don't let anybody put you down. Yeah, just basically believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, and continue to push through. I mean, anything is possible. You just have to have the right mindset. Don't ever give up. If you have an idea of what you're wanting to do and you want to go for it, baby steps, but continue to pursue your dreams, and don't let anyone else tell you otherwise.
I really love the takeaway, and I think that concludes the entire interview. Is great. And do you sing?
I do sing. Yes, I do sing.
Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you for sharing your time to do this interview.
You know what? My house is open to you anytime you want to come. Hopefully next year I'll be having a bigger ranch with even more gamefowl. So that is the plan. So I'm looking forward to it. And if you ever come to the United States, definitely hit me up and come out here. Like, it would be an honor to have you. And I really appreciate you asking me to do this interview, and continuing to work with me on this. Like, it's an honor to honestly be in y'all's magazine. So I'm excited.
Thank you, KZ, and I hope you and your family is always in good hands, and I'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
You too. God bless you, and bye-bye.
God bless you too. Bye.
Thanks.